Yo,
Yo, what's up,
what's
Mason?
up? What's up, Adam? How's it going?
It's going. It is the last episode of 2023, which
Woo!
is crazy.
That is
Um,
wild.
I feel like 2023 just absolutely flew by. But before we jump into today's podcast, I think we need to shout out our sponsor, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, a word from our sponsor. As it has been in the last couple weeks, it is still Shoes Pizzeria. And Mason, let's talk about their sandwiches today.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
I've been in a big sandwich mood recently, and you know who has a good selection of sandwiches?
Who?
Shoes Pizzeria.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I mean, to make a great sandwich, and I think Shoes hits all these points. Is first you got to have great bread, right? It's the base and the top of any sandwich. It comes in baked fresh multiple times a week, and it's delicious. They get it from a Chicago bakery. They get it shipped in or trucked in, I guess. And fantastic Italian bread. Next, got the meats and the cheeses. All are sliced fresh in house, and they run the gamut of meats and subs from ham to turkey to a pizza sub to Italian cured meats to Italian beef, a meatball sub, and one of my favorites, the chicken finger sub. And if you're
Ooh,
feeling crazy, they'll also do a chicken parmesan sub, which goes
ooh,
crazy. Um, Finally, those sweet sandos are toasted and topped with freshly cut produce and served with a bag of Lay's potato chips. But
yes.
I
Mm.
highly recommend putting the chips to the side and getting a side of crinkle cut fries or crispy onion rings.
Oh gosh, I'm so hungry.
I
Oh
know.
god. Uh,
So give them a call at 219-476-7463. I got that wrong last week as my parents made me aware when they listened to it. I was a little
uh,
dyslexic, I guess, with the fours and the sevens. So again, 219-476-7463. That is 219-476-SHOE. And go pay them a visit at 3300 North Calumet Avenue in Valparaiso, Indiana. And Mason, it is time for episode 55.
oh shit.
And it's been real.
55.
Yep, it's been real. It's been fun. 2023. This is it. This is a wrap.
Right.
But don't worry, it's just the last podcast for 2023. Mason and I will be back at it just after the new year. And, we've got some fun things planned. But before we jump into the recap, Mason, he's got merch. He's not even wearing the merch today. He's got it on the side.
Yo, we're here for a good time. Just not a long time. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
not a
saying?
long time. I think I got the
Ooh,
podcast T-shirt on underneath this today. So we're repping the merch. It's still online, on sale. Not really on sale, but you can still buy it. So it is on sale
it's always on
at
sale.
www.assemblagebevco.com. Go check it out. And Mason, what are you sipping on tonight, man?
All right. So tonight I'm sipping on a little Don Julio 70. It's an enjoyable little bit. Super delicious. And then also as my little cider, we got a little shot ski that we're about to do and have a good time. And that's a little Don Julio Reposado.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Right here, Reposado.
I
What about
always,
you?
whenever I see the Don Julio Reposado bottle, I always think it looks like Grand Marnier.
Yeah, I can
Like
see that. Like
the
the stylistic because it's got that little bulbish action for
and the
the
color
glass
scheme
bottle.
of the top and the label. It just to me it looks very much like Grand Marnier,
I
or
can
like
see
a
that.
Cointreau, or like some sort of triple
Something
sec.
special. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah. I am sipping on
Water.
some water. I'm having a sober December. I'm
Uh,
sipping on some plantation rum, Panama 2008.
oh yeah.
It is something that I have been drinking a lot of rum recently. I've been drinking a lot of bourbon recently.
Welcome
Which
to the
is,
club.
I know, which I don't know. I feel like this podcast is making me do things that, I never used to drink tequila, and then I got into tequila, and now I'm drinking bourbon. So,
Mm,
it's
mm,
just,
mm.
we're all over the place. But we're going back to rum today, just drinking it straight. So, Mason, should we do a little shot ski before we get going?
Yeah, we should.
To you, brother.
Cheers. Happy
2020.
2023. Going for 2024. Here we
Mm-hmm.
are. Nice and refreshing.
Nice and warm. So yeah, Mason, let's do a little recap of 2023.
All right.
And before we jump into seeing how we did in our goals for 2023, I think we should just kind of mention some of the things that we did do, and then we'll kind of go into if we actually hit our goals. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't, maybe we did some things that we didn't even have goals for. So
Yeah.
in 2023, we recorded 27 podcasts,
Ooh.
including this one that you're listening to. We recorded 1,284 minutes,
Holy shit.
not including this one, because I don't know how long this podcast is going to be, and that
You know
breaks.
what? Go ahead.
That breaks down to 21.4 hours of Assemblage Bevco or
And
Beverage Podcast.
you know what? That's also just recorded time.
Yeah.
Thinking about that. That doesn't include all of our prep time,
Yep.
all of our conversational time before and after that we just kind of shoot the shit, have a good time. Man, we are dedicated. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's almost a full day of listening to us straight. I mean, you could.
You could.
Maybe next year our goal will be 24 hours of recorded time. I don't know, we'll see. We did get a sponsorship. Another shout out to Shoes Pizzeria. We love you guys. And thanks for making it possible. We offered another 2 scholarships that paid for 2 individuals' wine exams. I just got a message from Som Foundation that they picked the winners, and they gave me like what their goals are and everything like that. So that's super cool. It's super fulfilling to kind of hear that people are able to use that money to achieve their wine and beverage dreams. And I love that we could do that, and I'm hoping not to jump into the goals for 2024, but I think the goal yearly is always to offer at least 2 scholarships. It feels really great to give back, because again, I know I've said it before, but Mason and I have gotten scholarships in our past that have helped us get to where we are today. So it feels good to be able to pay that back. And then kind of the last thing to recap of 2023 is we consulted and built a wine list for a casino and restaurant in Atlantic City, which is really, really cool, because at the end of the day, we are a consulting company, even though consulting, is like a very small part of what we do. But that's the great thing about Assemblage is a blend of, in the wine world, a blend of grapes that creates a finished product. And in our terms, it's a blend of different, podcast, a store, consulting, media, all that kind of stuff. So it feels good to actually, do some consulting. And they ended up using like 95% of the list that we came up with for their opening menu, which was great. So super, super cool. Mason, you want to talk about what our goals were for 2023 when we did this podcast basically a year ago?
Yeah. Can't believe it's been a whole year. And what a congratulations to the both of us. Like, I can't believe we did it, and we're still going to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Goal number 1 was hitting 26 podcasts, so 27 in the bucket. Check is the big. Yep. Double our listeners. I don't know if we actually did that one. That's hearsay,
Yeah.
Sometimes some podcasts it look like it, some podcasts not so much. So we'll call it a draw at that one for now.
Yep.
Another 2 get 2 scholarships. Get another 2 scholarship opportunities for our friendly friends out there trying to go and improve their knowledge. We have done that. check
that
mark
off
that one.
the list.
2 sponsors. Unfortunately, we hit just one, but thanks again to the Shoes Pizzeria. We love you guys. Thank you, Mama Papa Shoe.
And if you think about it, though, Assemblage was kind of our second sponsorship, even though they didn't give us anything. You know, they still made it work.
Yeah.
So we'll say just one.
We'll just say one.
It's just
It's okay. We'll figure it out. We'll get the next one. We'll get we'll up the ante and we'll make it happen next year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll get one notable review, and that one, I don't know if we hit that one or not. It's like hearsay, there say, because definitely we have increased our notoriety, you could call it, on Spotify with nice 5-star reviews, which give 0 written reviews. So who knows? And then the rest of our podcast listeners on other platforms, I don't think we've gotten anything that's been big enough to be like, we're like, I guess we definitely like
we
they
publish
have
it or something.
Yeah, exactly. But for those who did, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Like, thank you. Keep on doing that. We want that. Guest stars. We wanted to have multiple guest stars. We did have technically 3, but 2 all at once. That was our brothers. Well, thank you, Austin and Jack. Really great to have you on. Would love to do something again. Brothers Part 2 kind of action. And then Ray DeLuce. He has his own beverage or his own podcast as well.
Line Cook
Thoughts. That was just a really fun time to kind of go back and forth together. And then we crushed out the question of the day every podcast, so we can put a big old check mark to that one. And then somebody did get an assemblage tattoo. And that is definitely not this guy. So you know who it was.
Yeah.
It was that guy.
Yeah, I got an assemblage tattoo back in probably January, I guess. I probably had it almost a year.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I got shorts on, so I guess I could show it, but I'm not going to.
Nah, we could.
Yeah,
you saw it at that podcast, whatever podcast it was that we put it on. But go back and look at it. You could also follow Adam and see a picture of it. And then you know you could have fun with there.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely checked off more than we didn't check off. And I think the ones that we didn't necessarily check off, I think it was more hearsay whether we did or we didn't, you know, like we sort of did. Mason, what were some of your favorite podcasts that we did in 2023?
2023. Yeah.
Yeah, 2023, because we're currently in 20.
Yeah,
because you put something for 2021, but that threw me off because I was like, wait, what year are we even in?
You know what?
What were your favorite podcasts in 2023?
Yeah, favorite that's funny. Favorite podcasts in 2023. I think one that I just like absolutely adored doing, and you know, it was one of those out of the box kind of things that we were kind of skating around the beverage world was the work-life balance. And like, I think that one is a big note. That was a good start to the year. And just like something to make sure we are all presently pushing towards our goals in life and making sure we're taking control of what we want, and doing those things that made ourselves better so that we could enjoy our life more, right? That being the High Five Habit book and the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, the top 2 books for us that I think were just absolutely amazing to hit. And of course, our favorite thing that we still continuously go back to as often as we possibly can, and that is bar therapy. You know what I'm saying? You go chit chat with everybody, go hang out with that bartender. They just pour you a couple extra shots on the table, and bada bing, bada boom, you're having the best time ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, until you wake up the next day and then you're not having the best time ever. But
yeah,
No, I mean, and bar therapy, and when we talked about that, obviously we know that that is not like the cure all be all of being happy and, solving your issues, because it's definitely not. But it does, kind of put things in perspective, and, you can kind of just let it all hang out and hang out with your friends and your work buddies and everything like that. So, I mean, that is worth something, because some of my favorite memories that I look back on from, being in this industry and stuff is like those times staying out too late and drinking too much and, having fun with coworkers and work friends is like, yeah, maybe it didn't solve my issues at the time, but like it's great to look back on and kind of reminisce about all that stuff. So
Oh yeah.
bar therapy, check.
Yes. Another really great podcast that I think we both had a really, really great time. And I think some of our closest people to us in age and family that we kind of leaned on in certain parts of our lives, Boozing with the Bros.
Hmm.
Episode 30, go check it out.
The
That was
Bro Loco
the
podcast.
Bro Loco podcast, and it did get Loco Coco. You know what I'm saying? Get crazy fun. It was a grand old time, and we could have had even more fun. And maybe next year we'll have an even better one. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have to have the bros back on. And maybe we treat them to something a little bit nicer next time instead of the Four Locos.
I think that's a good move.
Um, yeah, we'll have to kind of workshop that one, but definitely want to have both of them back on. Uh, you know, it would be a great time.
Yeah. Just throwing it out here because it popped into my head. Airplane bottle funness. Anyways, moving right along.
Airplane bottle roulette could be a good one.
Ooh, that could be a really good one. Anyways,
Yeah.
we'll move right along. Next one that I think we had a really grand old time, which, again, saying this out loud, I had a great time with all of our podcasts, and it was really hard to choose, but I had to choose a few because, we had some amazing podcasts. B
Mhm.
and E was just so much fun breaking and entering in all of the beverage world. I mean, beverage and events. We had such a great time talking about so many different places that you could go have wonderful drinks that were just wildly high priced. But
Mhm.
how awesome it is to see the world change in those sporting events, concerts, and Broadway shows, and all of the other ones that you could possibly think of. That sometimes as you morph, things get better, right? Like cooler canned cocktails come out, other
Mhm.
things that are a little bit better, that are more delicious come out, and they start taking over these locations that we didn't really talk about. But honestly, it was a really grand time for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean,
What are
I
some of
think
yours?
Yeah, I mean, one that definitely sticks out is episode 40, all about the 40, where we talked about 40 ounces and, just sitting around and like not being able to finish the podcast until we finished the 40s. Not that it was that hard because, I mean, we did it pretty easily, but I think definitely, just shooting the shit. I think you spit some bars at the beginning of that podcast, and then just talking about because you were drinking a 40 of Modelo,
Oh
and
god.
and we just talked about how much lime would be the adequate amount of lime for a 40 of Modelo, and I think you said a half of a lime, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like four regular size Modelo's, right?
It's
40.
it's a little over three, like between
Yeah.
3 and 4. Yeah.
And I would use a fourth of a lime per Modelo. Though now recording this podcast later down the road, I think I've increased that amount, to be honest. I'm
Really?
I'm a big fan of even more lime. Like today, a single Modelo I had was with a full half lime. So
Jesus.
I was like, I can't believe I did it, but I was like, it's that perfect balance of that beautiful beer with lime, and you're just like, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's speaking of that, and I wasn't even planning on talking about this tonight, but I we were at like a little friends get together thing with some friends of ours that got married this summer. So they did like this little party at their house for their friends that couldn't make it to the wedding. And they had, I think they were Modelo brand, but they were like Modelo with lime and salt already in them. Have you ever seen those? I think it
I
was a
don't know if I
Modelo.
have.
Maybe it was a Corona. But it had like lime and salt already in it. It was kind of like they called it like it was like a Michelada or Michelada, but it was like Modelo, so like a Modelo Lata or something like that. And
It was like made before it went out of the factory with it in it.
yeah, it was like a canned beer with lime and salt in it already.
Hmm.
And it was so fucking salty. Like it was like they put way too much
Like in a
saline
salt lick.
solution into this. It was so salty. It was kind of good, but I was like, I was drinking it and like, because I picked one, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna have it. And, I didn't know if our friends were like big, they really like these things or something. So they're like, oh, how is it? I was like, oh, it's good. It's different than I was expecting. They're like, it's really salty, isn't it? I'm like, yeah, it's super fucking salty. And he's like, yeah. If the first one's really salty, the second one's like you just kind of get used to it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I could see that, but they weren't bad. They were just very, very salty. And like the artificial lime was kind of weird in there too, but it wasn't bad. It was just I don't know. I think the Modelo and the lime just made me kind of think about that. I don't even remember. I think it was Modelo, but I don't know. Anyway, I think one of my other favorite podcasts was episode 43, which was the pretentious golf beverages. Um, and we just kind of talked about alternative beverages on the golf course because it's easy to grab a beer at 7:30 a.m. when you've got a 7:35 tee time. But just like the different canned cocktails that are out there. I think I opened like a Malibu coconut pineapple seltzer that tasted like sunscreen but was kind of good. We talked about different little canned cocktails and how it's nice because you can just have, ask the bev cart for a cup of ice and like pour your own canned cocktail in there. We talked about this little guy, like these little Boda box wine juice boxes that, I think could be, just put in your bag. And I don't think that these would be the answer, but I kind of just wanted to like see what it would be like. So this has been sitting on my desk since we did that podcast, which
oh my god,
43. Yeah, I just opened it.
Oh shit.
So it's warm. It's been sitting on my desk for like, we did that podcast probably, it was episode 43. This is 55. So it's been 24 weeks ago. So almost 6 months ago. So it's just been sitting at room temp, but this
is it a red wine though?
It's a rosé. Right? It's a rosé.
Okay.
So to me, because our house is, it's pretty warm. It's not as warm as your golf bag would be, but like I just kind of want to see, if you didn't drink this right out of the cooler the day that you put it in your golf bag, what it would be like if you had this in your golf bag for a while and you got desperate on the golf course and you just needed a fix. So we'll see how it is. Mason, while I'm sipping on this, do you have any other favorite podcasts that you can shout out?
Oh yeah. Anyways, next I think Batch and Barrel episode 44. That face was all. It says it all right there. That was wonderful. Oh gosh. Oof. Honestly, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. 1 being you'd puke your brains out. 10 being I would drink that all day long.
Oof. I would say probably like a 2.1. Like if I were to drink that whole thing right now, I would definitely yak.
You'd yak.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
That's great.
It's gross. But yeah, I was. I shouldn't have done that, but
I'm glad you did. It was the perfect time to do it. Anyways, back to Batch and Barrel, episode 44. If you haven't listened to, great one. That was our barrel mini barrel podcast. It was a blast. We both have 2 mini barrels. Thank you again for my mini barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely awesome for making batch cocktails that are for fun, delicious, awesome. Negronis, Manhattans, old fashions, Boulevardy A's, or just like the spirit itself, aging it one more time, your personal self, making it something different than what it is currently. Always something fun to do. And man, did I drink the shit out of my Manhattan. I didn't realize that I had been just pouring it off every time, not every time. Most times that I was drinking, I poured myself off just a little tastier to keep trying it as I was going through it, just to see how it would develop, and never actually got to the point where I took it out of the barrel because I ran out before I could take it out of the barrel. So,
To be fair though, that like for those listening, and it was a pretty small barrel, so it's not like you emptied out a huge
oh,
cask. I mean, it was like I think maybe a liter barrel. Like it
no,
wasn't that big.
I think I fit 2 bottles in there, so a liter and a half.
Maybe it was a liter and a half barrel. I
I
mean,
think it was 1.5.
it wasn't very
It,
big in
it
the
wasn't
grand
very
scheme
big,
of
but
it.
I just kept sipping and kept trying it and watched it as it developed, and all of a sudden I went for another one. I was like drip drip. I was like, oh shit, did I really drink
You're
it?
like leaning it up to like
Yep,
get the
the
dregs out of
last
there.
little bit,
You're getting little
and
like sprouts
nothing
of
came
wind
out.
particulates and shit out of there.
Yeah, and it was just like super furry, and it like hurt while you were drinking it, and
The
you're like,
tannins
dang.
were just unreal. They were just ripping my mouth apart. The tannins.
It was just too much, but it was a
Mason,
great
those are
adult time.
splinters.
What are you talking about? I'm not bleeding. Oh gosh, it was a fun time. So
It was.
that was a really great podcast too, and having that fun barrel now that is now in use for something else. We'll see how it develops, and I will not spoil anything until it's ready.
Yeah.
It's all about the fun.
Yeah. And I think my last one was our holiday gift exchange, our last podcast that we had. Just
Was
being
a
able to
blast.
send each other a bottle of something. And, you sent me a picture the next day after the podcast that you were you were nice and you shared the rest of your bottle with Alex
I
with
was.
dinner. And, I ended up sharing, part of my bottle with Liv, um, you know, which was nice. So it not only was great content and a gift to each other, but we also got to share it with our loved ones. And, it's just fun to like kind of shoot the shit and not necessarily have like a topic, but just more so like, hey, let's talk about life and wine and the
And enjoy.
holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I think it was something special, and we both got to kind of really think about what we wanted to send each other, and I think it made it more fun because we both were drinking something unexpected that we didn't know, fun that our the other person got to choose, and it was something special to the other person in
Mm-hmm.
some sort of way.
Yep. Well, Mason, that was 2023 in a nutshell.
Wild.
What are some of your goals for 2024 moving forward?
Yeah. 2024 goals for us, for us are having 3 specific special guests on our podcast
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entirety of the year. So, you know, with that, we've got 27 episodes that we will be expecting to do because that's what we hit this year. We should be able to hit that exact number next year.
Mm-hmm.
And within that 27, having at least 3 within all those is definitely is a must do this time.
Yep.
Um, with that, you gave us that little cool note that if we keep up with that pace, which we definitely will, by 2025, we'll hit our 100th episode, which is wild to think about.
Yeah.
Our 100th episode is what you're saying.
Yep.
Because by mid 2024, we should probably hit the 100th episode of.
No, it's the 100th episode of the podcast. Because I mean, we're at 55, and if we have 27 more, that's like 82
all right.
or something.
I
like
can't
that.
believe. Wait,
So
next year's 2024. Oh shit.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god.
not 2022 right now. It's
Yeah,
2023. I
I
don't
can't
know.
believe it.
But yeah, so
Why?
the Assemblage Beverage Podcast, formerly the Assemblage Wine Podcast, will hit its 100th episode in 2025. Probably like closer towards the end, but yeah, pretty
Wild.
crazy. Yeah.
Anyways, gain one more sponsorship for the podcast to round out the whole year. Um, yeah, and I think the rest of them I'll let you kind of talk about.
Yeah. I definitely want to have 2 more scholarships this year. And that's, I kind of referred to it earlier, is that's a goal that I think I always want to have, or we always want to have moving forward, is just at least offering 2 scholarships for those who are trying to build a career in the beverage world and the wine world. Um, so at least 2. I'd love to do more, but I think 2 is a safe number for now. And then down the road, I'd love to be able to offer more. Um, I'd love to do 1 video per month on TikTok or Instagram. Just kind of continue to build video content besides our podcast, because obviously our podcast, as of maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, it's been available as a video on Spotify, as well as you can listen to it on Spotify. And since the beginning, we've done it on YouTube as a video. So you can go back and watch every podcast that Mason and I have done together on YouTube as a video. And so, just continue to make more videos, whether they're cocktail videos or wine knowledge videos, or just us being goofballs on the podcast, whatever it is. I definitely want to launch the golf merch this year. We kind of referred to it last year, and it never happened. So it was in the works and just didn't really ever hit the mark. And by the time we got back around to it, it was past golf season. So we're like, well, launching golf merch in the fall is not really like, it's not the time for it. So that'll be coming out hopefully in March or April of this year. And then the last goal is, I guess, not really a goal because it's happening. The next podcast, you will see me in a different studio. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. But I will not have this backdrop anymore after this podcast. So some big changes on that front, but it's all good stuff. It's just it's a little like this is the last time in the studio, aka the like bonus room in my in-laws house. So like it'll be nice to be in the studio. Probably the next podcast, it really won't be like decked out in anything, but that'll be to come with a cool backdrop and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of the goals for 2024. I think that they're all super achievable.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that at this time next year we'll have even bigger and better and grander goals for 2025.
Time is
Yeah,
flying. This is wild.
time is flying, and the fact that you wrote for one of them like 2021, and I was like, wait, what year are we in? Because honestly, like,
That could have
to
been right.
to just look back on the last couple of years, I mean, we graduated from college over 6 years ago with our bachelor's degree. And like 7.5 years ago, we graduated with our associate's degree, which is like
Wow.
nuts. So,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy that we're already going into 2024, and yeah, I mean, 2024 is gonna be a crazy year. Lots of
Yeah.
new content. We might have an international podcast, Mason and I.
I
We
think we
very well
probably
could have
should.
an international podcast next year, which would be pretty crazy. But we'll see.
We'll make it happen.
We'll see. But
We'll
yeah,
see what
we'll see.
happens.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. But Mason, should we wrap up the last podcast of the year with our last question of the day?
We definitely should.
So, Mason, what are you most excited for in 2024?
That is a hell of a great question because there are so many different things that I think I am excited for coming in 2024. One being, the professional work life, one being the personal love life, and one being the best friend's best, awesome, most amazing wedding possible, international style. So that's a hard one.
Olivia's gonna kill me if I'm like, "Hey, Mason, I gotta record a podcast."
we'll sneak in 20 minutes and we'll make it somehow work.
We'll make a little tiny, little baby,
a little tiny one. We'll do something. We'll do blips. Actually, that's what we should do. 5-minute blips throughout the entire time, and we'll call it that.
We gotta do a podcast.
Sorry, it just happened. Oh gosh, it's gonna be great. But I think honestly, the international wedding is the most exciting thing for me next year. Like I'm like so jazzed up, ready to go celebrate you and Olivia and just having the best whole time. Like I think that's my number one.
Yeah. I mean, that's gonna be great. I mean, I'm super excited for that. Got a great bachelor trip planned with you and some of my boys, and like Assemblage, I think will continue to grow. It always feels good to offer those scholarships, the wedding, the new studio, and all that comes with that. So I think that there's a lot of really, really positive things coming in 2024. And career wise, it's 2023 was a fantastic year, and I think that 2024 will just continue to kind of grow and build on that. So, yeah, I mean, Mason, just you down for one more?
One more.
Hold on. I'm not going to do it with the Boda box. That can't be the last thing that I drink.
Nah, that can't be the last thing. It needs to be something a little bit more delicious, a little bit more nutritious, a little bit more amazing.
Yeah. Mason.
Cheers.
And to all of our listeners who supported us last year, this year, next year, for years to come, cheers to you. Hope you all had a great 2023 and even better 2024. Cheers, Mason. Cheers y'all.
Beautiful.
Spicy. And for the last time in 2023,
spicy.
I'm Adam.
I'm Mason.
And keep on blending. Cheers, y'all. Go check out our sponsors, Shoes Pizzeria, 3300 North Calumet Avenue, Valparaiso, Indiana. Go check out our merch at www.assemblagebevco.com. Peace, y'all.
See ya.